Hi, you guys. I was reminded the other day to say at the beginning, please subscribe if you haven't already, give the video a this, comment if you want to, and if the reading doesn't fit, don't try to jam your foot into that particular shoe. The reading may be for a friend of yours, or somebody you know and love, or feel needs the information that comes out. So just, there's a lot of wiggle room here, and avail yourself of it. I had written down a couple of images I got this morning. And one is a recurring image I get sometimes of scuba divers. When one person is running out of air in their tank, you buddy breathe. You switch the breathing apparatus from one person to the other so you both can get to the surface. And in that same scuba imagery, the idea that if you go too fast, you'd get the bends. You may need to come up for air, but if you go too quickly, bubbles in the blood and great pain, and it's very dangerous. So somehow the image of buddy breathing. The other thing I got right before I sat down was an image of like the metal detectors, the screening when you go to get on a plane, and the idea of being x-rayed. That we all, in order to filter out the dangerous person, there's this very fine net where we're kicking off our shoes and going through the metal detector. Let's see how that plays out. Bless you guys. Thanks for coming to the table. This is your space. Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about was the idea of people who create a safe place or a place of relief. And I watch Stephen Colbert, Jon Stewart, a lot of comedians who are kind of, it helps me stay sane. They're addressing what can be like the horror show of what's happening, environmentally, politically, and sort of like the jester in the court who can speak truth to power. They're doing it through humor, but boy, you can see in their eyes sometimes the disbelief and the desperation. And it reminded me too then of Mr. Rogers. Welcome to Mr. Rogers' Neighbor. I didn't watch it as a kid, but there every time he'd come in the door, he'd take off his suit jacket, he'd put on his sweater. It was kind of this ritual of like what I do with, the smudging. Here we are in this safe place. Get comfortable. Take off your shoes, take off your... So there's that. And Walter Cronkite, those of us of a certain age, he was really a reliable, he was a news guy, and CBS Evening News. And in times of real crisis, like when President Kennedy was shot, he came on and on the air told us that, because they'd been following the story, he's been shot, he's been rushed to the hospital, and eventually, yes, the president died. And then he takes off his glasses. And you can tell he's just trying to fight back the tears. But there's this moment of vulnerability when when he just takes off his glasses and for a second is grieving right along with us. Mr. Rogers. There was a friend of my brother's who was in a terrible accident, and he was in the hospital. He'd survived, but like his leg was up in a sling. He had pins in various bones. The guy was pretty accident prone, and I can't remember which, but he was really broken. And, the TV was on in the hospital room, and he couldn't, I guess his roommate or he couldn't get to the switch to change the channel. And Mr. Rogers came on, and he was just like, hell no, I'm not watching this. Insipid guy put on his sweater and tell me he loves me just the way I am. But when Mr. Rogers said that, the guy burst into tears because somebody was telling him, even in your broken state, I love you just the way you are, even if through your own carelessness or something, you ended up here broken in this hospital bed. I love you just the way you are. Stephen Colbert, Mr. Rogers, Walter Cronkite. They're all heroes of mine in a way. So let's see how that plays out. Body breathing, metal detector. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, wow, we got that yesterday. Called the Alchemist in this deck. It's Temperance. A card of Sagittarius, of an alchemical change that takes time. It happens in divine, this doesn't happen by our timetable. But it happens, and it's healing, and it waits for that moment of the alchemical change. Like until these two cups are mixed, it can't happen. It takes time to do the alchemy. Straw into gold, base metal into gold, to get that precious thing. To get free, maybe, of a mindset that is self-imposed, has kept us repressed. But it's something to do with the bondage that we, not really, this person would have to fight their way out of this. It'd be easier than they think because they're in control. They think it's coming from the outside. And it's actually their own beliefs that are self-limiting beliefs. That's getting healed somehow. But there's some time in the cage, in the feelings of shame or that you have to hide yourself. This may be self-imposed, but it's like getting that message also from your environment. But somebody's buying into it. A belief system or negative self-talk or something like that. King of Pentacles. Earth sign. On the table, this one is looking right at the person in the cage. King of Pentacles is, by their nature, helpful and supportive. But there's something about, they can't talk this person out of this self-imposed prison, particularly when the person is busy hemming themselves in with negative self-talk. So King of Coins, King of Pentacles could be there for somebody, but they can't directly heal them. their presence might ignite some sort of change over time, Pentacles energy, just by being stable and steady, that allows this person to walk through the swords that encircle them, the beliefs, the misconceptions, their blindness. Devil. The fact that they're stuck. I think King of Coins, this is Capricorn, this is an earth sign. Like King of Pentacles. But this is a stuck energy in the trap of, stuck in your head, or allowing yourself to be convinced by what other people say or believe about you. You take on that belief. And it has to do with shadow. This person doesn't want to see something. Some kind of truth. They're not looking for clarity. To my mind, Capricorn is the hard-working energy of freeing yourself from what holds you back. And it might well be your own beliefs about yourself, or somebody's beliefs about themselves. Devil can be fear. So we have a card of healing stuck energy, healing fear, healing shadow. Those parts of ourselves we're in denial about. And maybe things somebody believes because they want to stay stuck. It can also be a card of obsession. A card of obsession. But it's an attempt to get free. It can also be seduction. Sometimes it feels not good to be stuck, but perhaps if somebody's feelings of self-worth are so low, there's a bit of not wallowing exactly, but not wanting to do the hard work, Capricorn. But the psyche is ready somehow and primed to look at shadow, to say, yes, these are the parts of myself that I haven't acknowledged as being me. I might have attributed it to my environment. And now I realize it's a self-imposed stuckness, because I don't have to buy into this. Somebody doesn't have to buy into this. There's a choice. In Pentacles energy, in the energy of Capricorn, you can choose. This is a disempowered energy. And so is this. And it may be that circumstance is bearing down on somebody, or that people are ridiculing them, or there are things in their environment they don't want to see or understand. It's like, they don't want to get it. But there's this time of consideration. Do I want to stay stuck? This can be like being on the fence for an eternity. This sort of infinity loop going back and forth and back and forth. It's a little bit wasting time. Pentacles can speak to time. And I think somebody is beginning to realize, sword energy, to understand that they have the power to heal themselves, or to find other people who are interested in healing, not in staying stuck. Because this can be a codependent situation where two people reinforce a refusal to change. This can be called the dance of change. Somebody may be resisting change because they're afraid, devil energy. They don't want to look at it. 8 of Swords. Change. The Death card. I don't know if you can see it, but it shows 2 phases. One breathing out, one breathing in. Buddy breathing. It's a card of buddy breathing. It's the end of it's sort of breathing. I'm not sure. Letting go. I mean, there was a wonderful woman who was actually interviewing who had a group called the Clear Light Society where they would go to people who were terminally ill and meditate with them. You know, in any denomination, it didn't matter. They could be an atheist, but they'd sit with the person, and if they had a particular belief system, they'd join them there. But this woman said to me, the breath is a great teacher. It's always saying, let go. There's not one breath you ever took that you could hang on to. So it's a practice in letting go. You know, perhaps in preparation for the big letting go, that big transformation. Buddy breathing. Okay. Tell us about the devil energy. What's that? It's a major arcana card. So it's something stuck deep in the psyche, you know, and it's also reflected in their 3D way they think about themselves. And this one might be buddy breathing, not in the sense that they're doing it for them, but setting some kind of example, or staying calm while this other person is panicking, or because to be stuck like this, you know, you can wallow in it and feel kind of safe in the confines of whatever this cage is. But it can also be scary, suffocating, like it cuts off the air. So in that sense, King of Pentacles may be making that exchange, helping that person change, and let go, so they can receive something new, some kind of new in-breath. Inspiration means breathing it in. Expiration means expiring. Energy's coming in, energy's going out. Is it all these? Okay, this is a repeat. On the bottom of the deck, we have 6 of Swords. Out of the mental trap, into a calmer state of mind. Moving on to a calmer state of mind. You know, being released to make the change. The butterfly images in both. And shadow work, in a way, is scary because you're reclaiming parts of yourself you didn't want to look at. Somebody is. And I think they're getting help from somebody else. And this is almost, I'm saying it almost is a buddy breathing image too. The 2 people creating some kind of environment where change can happen, where the alchemy can happen. On Devil, we have Chariot. Card of Cancer. Water energy, emotional energy, like Scorpio in the Death card. It's some kind of exchange that allows for forward movement. It frees up something in the psyche. And that something has to do with love and connection and empowerment, not being held back, but moving forward. Perhaps with somebody else, you're pulling in the same direction. I'm hearing like, be mindful of the company you keep. You know, if people are reinforcing your negative ideas about yourself, let go of that. Exchange it for emotional balance. On Death card, we have 7 of Swords. It can be a card of the sneak, of deception, of self-deception. But it's also a card of escapism. And since it appears with this Cage card, you know, this person is leaving without an explanation. It's like, I'm not going to stop and say goodbye. I'm just getting out of here. I don't see it as negative in this case. Escaping the cage. And on Alchemist, we have Moon card. Card of the unconscious mind, the collective unconscious, you know, and it can be fearful. Like this one is, you know, what's in the dark? Who's coming to attack me? And this other character doesn't look scared. Doesn't even look triggered by what the other one is going through. Body breathing. You know, in the water, steeped in emotion, Cancer energy. Water energy. Some people say Pisces. Perhaps all the water signs, or just that energy of emotion and the courage to, again, Pema Chodron, go to the places that scare you. It's also the place of transformation. Be willing to transform. On the level of feelings, open up. You know, open the cage. You've got the key. Somebody has the key to the cage. They may be afraid of freedom, of emotional freedom. You know, that might get me into more trouble than just staying with what's familiar. Devil energy. And Seven of Swords is admittedly not the best way of doing it, but it's a way of doing it. If you're stuck, if the people around you are feeding you a bunch of lies about who you are, don't create a self-deception out of it. Sneak away, get out. And the emphasis is on, you know, you need to extricate, or somebody does, from this toxic situation. And you don't need to explain yourself. Somebody doesn't need to give a bunch of, you know, I'm sneaking away and this is why, or, you know, I'm out and this is why. There's something about this situation that requires this person to do it quietly, to keep it a secret. You know, what's going, this is a behind the scenes card. This person still doesn't want to be seen. They might be ready to come out of self-deception, but they don't want to be discovered doing it. On King of Coins, didn't we have that? Didn't I already look at this? Six of Swords. Well, we have the 6, 7, 8 of swords, and this is moving on to the calmer state of mind. I did have it before because it was the butterflies in Death card and the butterflies in the big monarch. It might refer to the emperor, the monarch, getting free. Maybe not revealing the fact that that's what they're doing. And they might not be revealing it because they're not sure. They don't want to go back. You know, do I, don't I? Can I stay on the fence? Do I really want to extricate from this situation that makes me feel safe, even as I understand, or I can, you know, I can feel the pull of it, the weight of it that may hold me back from change. Two of Pentacles, dance of change. Well, somebody's decided in that same sword energy to go for it. You know, get out of the cage and then take off. There'd been some time in the cocoon, in the place that was comfortable but restricting. Maybe something that's taking place between Capricorn time, which we're out of. So somebody may have pulled out of a toxic situation, and maybe they'll be fully moving forward, like, you know, the liberation will be accomplished in Cancer time. 2 cards of Cancer. Sagittarius, Capricorn, Cancer, Cancer, I'm not sure. But there is a transformation. Let's see, what is the dance of change, please? Got a lot. Had that yesterday. Knight of Swords. I think somebody understands sword energy, what's at stake. That's the cage. This is the deception or the self-deception or the escapism. That's being willing to see it. Being willing to know it. Being willing to move on it. Where the mind and the heart are in cooperation. You know, the mind is willing to kind of take a back seat to the driving force of the psyche that wants growth and forward movement, heart expansion, that's brave and forward thinking, that isn't waffling or thinking about going back into the cage. On 8 of Swords, 4 of Cups. I think the cage has to do with feeling, Cups energy, feeling that love is out of reach. You know, this person's standing right on the cliff edge, shrouded, feeling that love is out of reach because they're in a cage, because they're stuck. Love isn't out of reach, it's the vehicle for forward movement. You know, some kind of rush of feelings that will open the door to change, to transformation, to this letting go of the breath so that you can breathe. It's sort of a there's something about the breath. expiring, inspiring. You know, that's a choice. Those are two sides of the same coin. And to let go, I think, of old patterns, to let them expire. To let them expire. Scorpio energy, death card. In order to, it's like, which is the stronger force in somebody's psyche? There's a kind of battle going on. What to believe in? Am I stuck or am I free? Am I thinking love is out of reach, or that it's actually the vehicle for forward movement? That sounds very technical, and it's much more heartfelt than that. It's like a breath of fresh air, getting out of the cage and just, it's like a sigh of release. King of Wands. Life force energy. Forward movement. Taking action to move forward. Out of the stuck place. It's open-hearted, warm, let's go for it energy. And I think it's somebody who has both their stability and their creative impulse to move forward. Those things are integrated. You put them together, you have the alchemy. And it requires a certain bringing to consciousness what the psyche has repressed. Those, when we'd rather say, it's not me who's created this cage. Other people have given me this idea of myself, that love is out of reach and so forth. And now it's like move to the place, to the belief, to the perspective that allows for change. I'm not stuck. It's like, don't deceive yourself. This person needs, whoever it is, has been deceiving themselves and finding some comfort in the idea that love is out of reach and I'm stuck. Why even reach for it? It's elusive. And look at the massive size of the cup. Maybe their idea of love there's something about the shrouded figure, the death shroud, but King of Wands is a galvanizing, creative, who could get out of devil energy? This energy. Inspired, creative, directional. I know the way. I know what to do. I know how to do it. It's self-confident. I know what I feel. I know what holds me back. I know the work I have to do to bring certain aspects of myself to consciousness. 10 of coins. That's a safe environment. That's that's kind of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood a little bit, It's creating an environment that's in 3D, that's stable and safe. And I don't know where the putting on the sweater part comes in. Creating an environment, because it's creative, it's real, Pentacles energy, but it's also establishing over time that kind of space and inviting people in. Wise One, Hierophant in any other deck. Higher power, spirituality, a card of Taurus, earth energy, along with this Ten of Pentacles. So it's a very real and supportive environment, creative and inspirational, but it's also highly spiritual. And it's not the kind of Mr. Rogers, Walter Cronkite, even the comedians are trying to empower the people. It's not like, look at me, I'm the one who will show you how to do it. It's a little bit, because this is a how to do it energy, but a space that allows everyone to participate. Because Hierophant can be, it's called Wise One here, but Hierophant means hierarchy. This is not the hierarchy. It is, they're the devotees, the little guys down there that are bringing the food to the awakened one. And again, we have the butterfly images. How do we wake up? How do we ascend? How do we discover our own spiritual nature? There's a business here of some sort of belief system that says love is out of reach. I've been told or made to believe love is out of reach. I bought into it. Somehow this belief system. And now it's been supplanted by I think somebody's kind of the sacred knowledge, the wise one, of their own value. I'm muffing it a little bit, and I'm not sure what it is. Why do I feel like I've gone off the rails here? Help us move forward in understanding of this, Six of Swords. Wow, another card to my mind of shadow energy. This one is playing shadow games. This is a card of fear. Of being stuck in your head, of being anxious, of, maybe even catastrophizing. We now have the 6, 7, 8, 9 of Swords. So there's a lot of fear and a lot of attempt to extricate, and maybe something about shadow games. Like somehow approaching it with some kind of light heart, or, bringing the light into the darkness. Like Colbert. What's his show? It's the Tonight Show, I think. And at the end of every day, he gives pearls of wisdom. And they really address shadow, things that are going on inside or in the culture, or whatever, that we just as soon not look at. And I'm getting the idea of, like you don't look at Medusa directly, you'll turn to stone, so you can look in a reflection. Whoever fights off Medusa and cuts off her head is able to fight because they're looking at the reflection. There's something about the metal detector too, like being able to see through the games. You may be dealing with people who are wanting to project their own fear onto you. They're not willing to face, what's going, perhaps something toxic that's going on inside them. So they're projecting it onto you. Yeah, I'd say so. 5 of Wands. This is a real struggle. Didn't I say doing battle? The need for change. 5s indicate a need for change. It's like fighting off the fear. Fighting through, and it takes time, it takes process, and it's messy. It's a real clash. It's not the comfort zone. But who's up to 5 of Wands struggle? This fellow. Male or female. Takes a creative approach and is facing down the fear and tapping into higher power and saying, I can surround myself with things that matter, earth energy, with people who care, earth energy. I know how to do it. I know how to get there. And particularly, I know how to go inside to tap into that internal wisdom. The keys to the cage, very prominently over the heart. It's a struggle. It's struggling with shadow. Fighting your fear. Tell it. Okay. These ones. We have a 6 of Pentacles. That's a card of a nurturing the mother, nurturing the babies. More than one, having enough to nurture more than one aspect of your life, perhaps. To feed your aspects of yourself that maybe have felt kind of starved for nourishment. Love is out of reach. I'm stuck in a cage. So 6 of Pentacles, 6 of Coins, a card of help and nourishment. Getting what you need in 3D. Buddy breathing. This is Fool card. Here called the Wanderer. Card of Aries, the one in search of wholeness. To be whole, you have to be willing to work with shadow. You can't just say, right, I won't deal with those aspects. They're too hard. I don't want to look at them. I don't want to think about them, sword energy. Fool is going forward bravely into the unknown, taking that leap of faith. Leap of faith. That you can live outside this cage. That's where the journey starts. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And it takes you right off the edge. Go to the places that scare you. I think there's a instruction here to test, for somebody to test themselves. To test themselves. 2 of Wands. Some portal is opened up in Wands energy. Somebody's made a decision. In one's energy. To go for it, to begin the journey, to step through the open door. And see, if Fool is considered the baby of the tarot, the brand newbie going out on the journey, which of course we always cycle back to. Somebody ready to take the leap, take the risk, pass through the portal. And it doesn't happen without struggle, and it doesn't happen without help or support or nourishment. This can be tiring. It's like take the break to feed yourself, to take care of your kind of worldly needs. To eat, to rest, to drink, to be merry. To take the risk, to have faith. The Fool has faith that the universe is on this person's side. They're ready to begin. You know, they've extricated themselves somehow. They're breaking free. And this is a bit of a free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, free at last. Okay, you guys, I think there's struggle here, there's a need for change, there's a need for transformation. And there's this buddy breathing aspect, but it's also, this is the singular person taking the risk. I mean, people can kind of, you know, buddy breathe you to the edge, and at some point you got to go on your own. Walk that lonesome valley. Death card. Help is available to get through this struggle, and it may be like counseling or something. Working through your fear with the help of somebody else. Tangible help. It's kind of the keys to the kingdom. The keys. And it's not just the earthly kingdom. You know, of course, the two interface all the time. As it is on earth, is so in heaven. As above, so below. That interface between the two worlds. Between the two. And it comes down to free will. The choice. Do I stay stuck in my fear? Do I accept change and move forward? It's always a risk, but there's a suggestion that the universe is on this person's side. This is a card of Aries. Sagittarius in Alchemist or Temperance. Cancer, maybe Pisces, in the moon sign. Water energy. Taurus, in the Wise One, Hierophant. Earth energy. Capricorn, also earth energy. Devil card. Energy of being stuck, but of working with devil. And that's what frees you, right? You can, you know, if a person thinks they can selectively not work with what scares them, not look at what they don't want to look at, and still like live their lives. There's going to be a reckoning of some kind. Where somebody will have to fight through their fear. Cancer in the moon card. Cancer in Chariot. Capricorn in the Devil. Scorpio in the Death card. Taurus in Hierophant, in the Wise One. Sag in Alchemist. I think I'm circling. Body breathing, allowing for change, letting go of fear, letting go of hiding the full spectrum of who we are. I'll see you next time.